Hi, I am Kevin Molesworth, the president of ISES Austin, and I'm here to talk a little bit about winning the Spirit of Excellence Award for Chapter of the Year and the so-called SOE trifecta. How did it feel? Unbelievable. I mean, shock is maybe one of the first things that comes to mind. Of course, excitement, beyond excited. I really can't, I couldn't speak for all of the people that we had at ISIS Live when our name was called for Chapter of the Year. But it was amazing. It was absolutely unreal. You look at all the talent in our organization worldwide, and to be recognized by your peers in that room and to be called up on that stage, that's a pretty impressive high. Getting a standing ovation from the people in that room, that just doesn't happen every day. That was really, really amazing. As far as, the trifecta, as you put it, let's talk about that for a second. So when we won special projects, again, I'll tell you right now, our chapter didn't think we were going to win that. We lobbied our local government to stop a new permitting law. Essentially, that's what it is, and it worked. But we really thought, well, yeah, we're proud of what we did, and it certainly impacts our events community. It affects the city of Austin. But again, we really thought well, somebody probably did some nonprofit event. They raised $1 million for some fantastic charity. So they're going to get it. That's a great special project. We were shocked by that we won it. Then we get to programs and education. And frankly, that was the one that we thought, if we were going to win anything, we thought that was maybe the place where we had the best chance. And again, that's simply because we expanded the number of programs that we did. We did a total of 37 programs for our members. So again, nothing's a shoo-in, there are no guarantees, but we thought if we had a shot at any, that would be it. Now, as far as getting the Chapter of the Year, you're hopeful. I can't even say optimistic. You're hopeful. Again, you look at who is in the room, and another chapter won for membership. So that chapter has that. Another chapter won for communication, and then some of them were also honorable mention in some of these other categories too. So it's not like we were sitting there having won the first two and thinking, oh, we got this. I mean, believe you me, none of us thought that. None of us thought we are a shoo-in for the Chapter of the Year. So yeah, we were pretty crazy, a little bit like children when our names were called, and we just ran up there in our crazy purple t-shirts and just had a blast. And man, we rode that high all week. And that's another thing I had to tell you about winning Chapter of the Year or any SOE. Just having, again, the support of the people in that room. So many people coming up to us and saying, congratulations, you guys are amazing, and then the connections that you get to meet. It's nice to be kind of I don't know how I'd phrase it, but kind of like the popular kid, for that week. And, everyone wanted to talk to us. Well, how did you do it? What did you do? What did you change? It was great. And we love sharing information. I mean, so many other chapters have shared stuff with us, especially in our regional breakouts and things like that. Best practices and whatnot. We loved it. And it opens a lot of doors for us to speak with other chapters, not just in our region, but outside our region, outside of our country. That was really fantastic. And I also love, too, that there were a few chapters who came up to us and said, congratulations, we're coming for you. I love it. Bring it on. We love the competition, so it raises the bar for everybody when we have that sort of competition. So that's a very long-winded answer to say we were ecstatic when we won the Chapter of the Year. Will I wake up some dream I made up? No, the ways in which we set up our chapter to be in a position, I would say, to perhaps be recognized as Chapter of the Year, or really to win SOE in any category, it didn't happen overnight. It really was part of a much larger plan, really sort of a 3-year plan. Now, our chapter had been nominated in multiple SOE categories for several previous years. And I think we've only won one SOE prior to that, and it was several years ago. We had won 4 special projects. And so yeah, so we went many years being nominated in multiple SOE categories, but didn't take home any hardware. So in a way, yeah, we set out, we put a 3-year plan together with, starting way back with several presidents, Melissa Robinson, Vanessa Tobias, myself as about to be the incoming, and we said, look, here's what it's going to take. And even if we don't win the chapter of the year, the worst thing that can happen is our members benefit from what we're doing to put ourselves in a position to be the chapter of the year. We're going to offer more programs. We're going to work harder on our communications. We're going to really, membership. We're going to recruit new people. We're going to recruit the right types of people. We're going to try to, have retention as high as possible. Again, we didn't win in those categories, but we still were cognizant of it and still working very hard. So, it's like, I don't know if I may make a baseball metaphor or something like that, maybe you want to hit a home run every time, but there's nothing wrong with getting a double or a triple. People are still benefiting from that. So even if we didn't get it, like I said, we try to put ourselves in a position where maybe we could get that recognition. But even if we didn't, we were still going to be giving back to our membership. As far as the tools that we integrated, I've talked about Dropbox. I've talked about keeping, quite simply, just an Excel spreadsheet of things. I think the key ingredient, and maybe it's a little bit of luck, we had a great board of directors. We had 13 hard-charging, committed people who treated ISES like it was their second job. Plain and simple. I can't, when other chapters ask us, and we have had other chapters that ask us, well, how did you do it, and how did you, like I said, I can lay out some of the logistical things like we actually did. Well, our special project was this, or we did 37 programs, but really behind all that is 13 people on a board, very large committees. I mean, my goodness, COM had, 12 people on their committee. Programs had 8 people. Membership had 10 people. Just huge committees. Just these are members who were just so involved, and even folks who weren't on committees who would still step up and volunteer for things. Maybe they were busy this month, but the next month, what can I do to help? And that we're just very fortunate right now to have truly a community. No one can take credit for that. I think as a collective, everyone involved in the special events industry who lives and resides in and just around Austin takes credit for that. Maybe it's an anomaly, I don't know. But for some reason we just coalesced into this energy, this unit that was just, it felt unstoppable last year. Everyone was just really on the same page. If I could bottle it and sell it, ISIS Austin would be millionaires. We wouldn't have to worry about fundraisers for many years to come. So, yeah, I think you can say there's just some luck there. We just are in a position where the people believe in it, and they're just driving it forward. Our special project, and I talked about this in another video, we had lobbied against a proposed piece of legislation that was going to drastically change how special events permits were issued in the city of Austin. Now, we are known as a festival city. Amongst other things, obviously we have our own local businesses and such, but we have South by Southwest, we have the ACL Festival. There's a festival here almost every single month. You've got F1, which is obviously an international event. So when you want to start messing with the codes that, are going to be enforced with regards to permits, that's something we're going to have to take notice of, and we're going to have to be part of that conversation. So we integrated ourselves into that conversation rather aggressively, and it worked for us because the legislation that was about to be voted on and perhaps even signed into law by our mayor, we halted it. We went to the meetings at City Hall, we got on the microphone, we sent emails, we had one-on-one meetings with city councilmen, and we said, hey, you are not taking these things into consideration. And since we're the professionals in this industry, we should have a voice. And they saw that. They agreed with us, you know? So that was our special project. We lobbied against new proposed permitting legislation in our city that just frankly just didn't make sense. So, and now we have a seat at the table as part of that conversation. Tips and suggestions for award-winning submissions. Again, in the other couple videos I've done for this, it really remains the same. Don't wait till the last minute to put your submission together. I mean, if you're going to submit for an Esprit Award, I can tell you right now, someone who writes their submission the night before it's due, boy, I would be shocked if they receive a nomination. You've got to put the work in. You've got to put the time in. It's an SOE submission it's a huge document, especially for, you know, chapter of the year and programs in education, like all the images you have to include and screenshots and, you know, communication again is another one, screenshots of your Facebook page, your Instagram, you know, things like that. It's a beast. It's an absolute beast. And Rome was not built in a day. You're going to have to stay on top of that. You're going to have to just chip away at that. I would say if not every couple weeks, at least every month. For us, we have a historian that tracks a lot of the things that are going to ultimately end up in the SOE submission, but it's a team effort and it's an ongoing effort. It has to be. You're not going to pull it together in a couple weeks' time. You won't. No, nothing fancy, nothing special, nothing that every single person who's perhaps seeing this video or who wants to submit for an SOE doesn't have access to. Dropbox and spreadsheets. That's what we did. That's where we maintained all our images and our documents, and then spreadsheets is how we maintained dates, times, topics, things like that, meeting topics. That's it, nothing fancy. But staying on top of it. That's the key. It wasn't, there's no secret sauce, there's no magic wand, there's no app, at least not to my knowledge. Believe me, if someone has one, we would love to know. But I don't think there is an app or a software or anything like that that you can use specifically that's going to give you some sort of huge edge. The reality is you have to put the work in, you've got to put the time in, and write a knockout submission. I think that's it. Winning the SOEs for programs in education and special projects and of course chapter of the year, I think the way that it helps our chapter is it reinvigorates everyone, okay? For the board members and the committees and the people who really had a hand in putting all of that together, it's a pat on the back. It's a proud parent telling you, you done good, kid. You know, you got it right. That just feels good, you know? I don't know that there's anyone in our chapter that would say that they did it specifically for the recognition. We did it for our members. You know, they pay dues. We wanted to provide them with a fantastic value proposition. Lots of programs, certainly our special project, you know, halting these crazy permit laws. Every single person in our chapter and our community benefits from that. But yeah, I think you just can't argue. It just feels nice. It feels nice to have someone tell you, you got it right. You got it right. You did a really good job. And it, like I said, it reinvigorates all of our members. It's certainly people who are thinking about becoming a member. Maybe they've come to a couple meetings, but they've never actually joined, what have you. I think that makes them take a hard look at it and say, okay, yeah, this chapter is doing some really interesting things. And if they have such a strong knowledge base and these people appear to be the players, maybe I need to be around the players. As far as how we're using it to promote our chapter, you know, of course we blasted out these honors on our social media. We put it in our monthly newsletter. When we came back from ISES Live at their very next meeting, we brought the awards, and at the registration desk we put them up there to show people. And that was really twofold. Part of it was to show to all of our members, these are your awards. Not just us, not just the board, not just the committees, all of you. You're all members. You all contributed to this success. We really do believe in the word community here in Austin and teamwork. Many of our vendors who are in the same vendor category, they're great friends and they're colleagues. We really do firmly believe here in Austin that the rising tide raises all boats. We all benefit from it when we work together. I think it was nice for members to see, especially the members who weren't able to go to ISES Live. Of course, they heard about it because, believe me, we blasted it all over. They knew we had won, but to come home and to see those awards and to know that every person who sponsored a meeting, or they donated lighting to one of our events, or they were the caterer for our gala, all of them, they were all part of it. I think for people who were not members, and I've said this before in some of the other questions, but when you're not a member and you see this chapter is clearly doing the right thing, I think it forces them to at least investigate a little and say, yeah, maybe I ought to look into this. Maybe I ought to really take a good solid look at what these folks are doing. And they're an international organization, and our little tiny small town of Austin, they're the chapter of the year, not these big multi-million, these cities of multi-million population. Our little city of 650,000 is the best. Wow, that's really interesting. What are we doing right? What is that chapter doing right? And it forces them to ask that question and hopefully seek the answer. Again, we couldn't be happier, and the excitement that brings, hopefully it's contagious. We've used it, of course, in our marketing materials, as we move forward into the new year. Believe you me, again, it's on there. Chapter of the year, winner of 3 Spirit of Excellence Awards, when we're trying to solicit sponsorships and whatnot. We want people to know that if they're contributing their time, their efforts, and especially their money, that they're part of a winning team. So it's been a great boon for us, and we're very excited to have won it. And, but the work doesn't stop. It doesn't end. We're going right back after it next year. We're hoping that maybe we get to walk on stage a few more times in New Orleans. So to all the other chapters, we thank them for all their support and their words of congratulations. And I'll tell you, I thank perhaps even more so the chapter representatives that came to me and said, congratulations, and we're coming for you.